Hey there, Mr. Bills here again. Hey, we're going to start talking about um, your face card reimagined, or you're going to redesign a face card. And we need to think of ideas first. And the best way to do that is to do thumbnail sketches. So just on a regular piece of computer paper, it's a really good idea to just like literally make drawings about that big. Make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, doesn't matter how many you use. Um, and so you start to get a feel for a face card, I always draw that little line in there because you have the ace of hearts right up there or something, and the right there as well. And you can just start doing little stick figure things. And I have another sheet that I've started working on, but that's how you get it going. Do thumbnails. You will also just do these drawings practically like quick little stick figures. And you'll see this picture of this on the slideshow as well. And the ideas you can come up with are just really varied. You have to have this assignment so it's thematic. Okay, there needs to be a theme. So the two parts of a face card typically are the exact same on the top and bottom. But we're not going to do that. I want there to be two different things going on. They can be similar to each other, but they should not be an exact mirror of each other like it is on a face card. So there you need to have themes. So a theme could be nature. Nature could be bugs or lizards or landscapes or birds or whatever part of nature you think is interesting. Excuse me. It could be world landmarks. Here I have just a little 30-second sketch of the Eiffel Tower. And if you look this way, it's the Roman Colosseum. Okay, up here I have one that's, there's a ladybug this way, and this way is a praying mantis. And the tricky part about some of these ideas is how you make them appear to be in one space, how they kind of connect to each other. You don't want to just have two separate things. They need to deal with each other somehow, blend into each other, overlap each other somehow, some way. And you'll see again more samples in the rest of the slides in the slideshow. Here's the one I'm going to do. I'm going to do a turtle. It's going to be kind of underwater, and on this side of it is an octopus. These aren't great drawings, but they're just quick little things just to visualize the idea. I have the idea here of making an octopus, making an O for the octopus. I might have it grabbing a little crab or something right down here. And here I'm going to make a T for a turtle out of the two fins. Like there's one of the fins and there's another fin. And I think on my pre-sketch I have a little piece of seaweed right here going. So that's how you, and I don't want to give you lots and lots of ideas because I want you to come up with your own idea. You could do music, sports, different artists that you like, different games that you played. You could do art supplies and let them kind of blend into each other. There's lots and lots of different things. Just like always though, the imagery needs to be school appropriate. I don't want it to be cartoony. However, it can be kind of illustrative. It can look like an illustration. It can certainly look like a drawing. It doesn't have to be photorealistic, but it should capture form and things like overlaps and have lighting and shadows and highlights and middle tones. And again, there's a few samples on the slideshow that I will refer to. One thing you are going to have to do, one of the requirements is this border right here, you're going to have to break that border 3 times at least or more. That's going to be a requirement. So I would have maybe this border come down here a little bit farther so the ladybug could stick out. Here, this little bug eyes kind of stick out a little bit. The little hands might stick out. If there was a branch that he was living on, that could also kind of stick outside this border. And again, you'll see some samples. Some of the samples may not break the border because this is a new requirement that I'm putting on this assignment. But that's, I think, going to be really easy to do. All right. Next, we are going to look at how to get this thing started, how to get your pre-sketch set up so it's the right size. and write dimensions and start doing the drawing after you get your resources. And just to let you know, and you'll see these again, these are some of the resources that I printed out. And you don't have to print them out. You can just work from your computer screen. You can work from your phone. That's totally fine. You're not going to use a grid. Here's a couple of other octopuses. I printed these so I could kind of see how the suction cups looked and maybe get a little closer look at some of the texture. But these are my main resources that I'm going to use. This turtle, an octopus, and a few of these fish kind of floating around. All right, so the next part of this video is going to be how to set up your pre-sketch officially and the right size. Okay, so now you've settled on your idea. I would like a picture of this. I'd like a picture of your ideas as part of your assignment. Remember, we're going to be taking a few pictures of each assignment along the way that hopefully I've described to you already. And I'm going to decide on my, as you know, on my purple turtle and octopus. So what you're going to do next is you're going to get a fresh piece of paper. This is your 9 by 12 paper that you have, so make sure it's that slightly larger paper. We're going to make a border and kind of start planning it out on here. So when you measure, what you want to do is make sure you measure from the edge of the paper. And you don't have to go from the edge of the ruler. What I almost always do is I line my eye up so that long line of the 1 is on the edge of the paper. And then we're going to go in 1.5 inches. And if you have trouble with a ruler, just look at my ruler and see what measurement I use. So there's the 2 and there's halfway to the 3, so 1.5 inches. So and you must make 2 marks and then connect them together. And this can be nice and dark. Then you turn the paper. Don't turn your ruler to measure. Don't turn your ruler to measure. You want to turn the paper. So your ruler is always across from you, like you can kind of tell it is here. Now it doesn't matter which inch you start on. There's 1.5. And here again, always make 2 measurements at 1.5, 1.5. Just make a little mark, and then connect it again. And then I already made 2 marks here, so I could save a little time. And we're going to make that measurement go all the way around, so we have a nice even border. Remember, this is on your 9 by 12 paper. So that's our 1.5 inch border. There's going to be another element, and that element is the letter or the symbol that you use in the corner to represent a face card. And we don't want that to touch the edge of the paper. So we're going to come in 1/4 inch. And again, I'll have this kind of illustrated on the slides as well. So again, make 2 marks at 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to connect those. So that just has to be just up here in the corner. So when and again, measure twice, once here and once here, and connect those carefully. So when you start to design your symbol, your letter, whatever it is that kind of goes with your theme, it should not go outside that mark. Now, coincidentally, your pencil is almost exactly 1/4 inch wide. So if you want to take a regular pencil and just kind of lay it and get your head right over the top, make sure you can see that, and lay it right over the top of the edge of the paper, hold it down really steady, and you can just trace that line right there. And we'll do it the other direction also. I have to turn this because I'm right-handed. Again, line it up on the edge of the paper. And that's pretty much indistinguishable from this one down here. Okay, now that you've got that kind of set, and again, only do it up in the corner. Do not make a border. That's just to help you do the size of that corner element. And again, either from your screen, from your computer, from your phone, if you can print something out, that would be great. And you can use something, like I said, a little more illustrative. You can look up clip art and turtle, or whatever you are looking for, and it'll give you some drawings, line drawings, some more shaded in color, but it won't be quite as realistic usually. But it might be something for you to refer to as a good reference for your drawing. Okay, now starting your drawing, we are going to try to draw whole to parts, and we did that some in Art 1. We've done it before if you've had this class before. And make sure you have your references. Don't just draw out of your head. Okay, I may even want a picture of your references. Okay, so there'll be some details in the description of the assignment that and what my expectations are. So here's what we do. I'm going to draw the turtle up here. I can't trace it, it's not just the right size, and I might want to angle it or tilt it, and you can change things around a little bit. It's not going to be a drawing where you have to draw it perfectly. But drawing whole to parts means I'm just going to kind of look at, I'll put this right here so you can see what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the body. I'm forgetting about the head. So I'm just looking at the body. There's kind of a lump up here, and it's kind of flat down here. Okay, and again, I'm drawing kind of dark just so you can see it better. That's not perfect. I'm not worried about it being perfect yet. The head that is in front of the body kind of goes up at an angle, and again, we've done the angle thing with the realism challenge. That's kind of an angle like that, and I'm going to let it just kind of, it's kind of an oval shape. So I'm going to try to get things just barely in proportion. And here's the eye that sticks up a little bit, so it's going to stick up a little bit. I'm just going to make a circle right now. The fin kind of comes out of the body right about there, and it kind of goes up first, then it tilts. So I'm going to make it kind of go up first, and it kind of, where it makes contact, it's kind of round, and then it's going to kind of go off in this direction, and these two lines go away from each other. There's kind of a tip up here, so you can just kind of really rough in some of those. There's no details yet. Even though it looks kind of right, I'm going to go in and make certainly more details. The same kind of thing can happen down here. I can see that this angle of the first part of the fin here doesn't go straight across, it goes down a little bit. So it's going to go down a little bit. So I'm going to let it make contact right about here. It goes down. It goes down a little bit. And again, this may not be perfect. I may have to bring this line up a little bit higher, or maybe make it stick out farther here. All those things are going to happen to everybody. They happen to me all the time. You're going to make several mistakes. Don't worry about it. All right, back to the fin. Let's get that fin going down here, and it gets bigger on the way down. And it doesn't go straight down. It kind of goes out at a slight angle, kind of out in that direction. But it does get bigger down here, and it kind of turns, and it kind of, there's a little notch right there, and there's kind of a round bottom. So let's say that's right where I want it, and if it isn't, if I really wanted to, I could trace this on another piece of paper, and then put that tracing right behind my pre-sketch and redraw it. If I like it, I can retrace it onto here and move it down farther. But for now, that's all I need to do, just for now. Now I'm going to turn the page over, because when you do this drawing, you should be able to display this right side up or upside down. There's no right side up or upside down. Okay, so I'm going to draw the octopus going this way. And again, now also I forgot to mention, see right here, I made sure that I broke the border one time at least there. I could move that head up a little bit and make that happen. If I wanted to, I could move that fin over that way a little bit more and make it bump into the border. But I'm going to try to make sure that the octopus, comes out of the border. I'm going to bring it out here farther. And again, check out my reference. Always have that by your side. There's kind of an oval shape. There's two spheres, one kind of in front of another. There's an angle here that I can just kind of copy over to get this thing started. There's kind of an angle. Right underneath the eye is that little exhaust, that little blowhole. I think that's how they move around. They blow water out of that to move backwards. There is, that's a little bit too lumpy right there, so I'm going to just flatten that off a little bit. I'll erase it later. There is this, I can tell on this other reference, this little curlicue right there. I can kind of see it here, but it's you may not be able to. That's a feature. And I can start to kind of just guess at where some of the tentacles kind of start to separate and start to overlap. But with this drawing, I'm not going to draw this exactly. I'm going to draw these tentacles so I can make them go wherever I want to. And I'm going to let one of them come down here and make contact with the turtle. Okay, so I've gone a little farther on this. I don't want this video to take too long. So I'm going to jump ahead and show you what I've been working on. But this is not done, and it's kind of light, so you have to look closely. And again, I have a picture of this on the slideshow, so you can look at it in more detail and maybe zoom in on it if you wanted to. So I have the octopus kind of done. I planned out. It took lots of back and forth. There was lots of erasing and moving over and adjusting the length and the thickness of, say, these tentacles. I made the tentacles interact with the turtle. See that one right down there is hooked on there. I also made the tentacles interact with the border. I drew one more line. So it's going to have kind of a colorful border that goes around the perimeter. Okay, then I let the tentacle go in front of that border and then behind. I'm going to let this eye on the back bump outside the border. This tentacle that comes actually around from the back goes behind and makes an appearance again. I'm going to let this tentacle rest right on there. Okay, just like it's a little edge that it can rest on. There's a tentacle over here that goes off the page and disappears, then comes back on the page, and that's this one right here. I have a reference of some fish, so I wanted to put a few fish in there. There are little schools of fish back there. There's little tiny fish off in the distance way back there by the turtle. There are some fish, little tropical fish there, little tropical fish here. In the center section, I have some coral that I'll try to not be very detailed, just kind of look like it's hiding out off in the distance. I'm also going to try to make it appear like there's some little waviness of water excuse me, going in front of the octopus and the turtle. I'm going to try to make it look like his head is sticking out. This fin is sticking out. If you can tell, this border, I made it look like it's three-dimensional by adding this little shadow on the fin. There's a little shadow, a cast shadow on the flipper on the border. As this tentacle goes behind the border, I added a little, I call that a shadow, altered shadow, because it rounds off as it goes over a round object. There's a little cast shadow right there, and I might add a few others as well. I still have a lot of detail to do on this. I still want to put suction cups. I still have to put the eyes in there. I still have to put some of the scales and markings on the turtle, and you want to do all those things, or 99% of them, on the pre-sketch, so you have it really planned out. So then when you trace this onto your Bristol board, onto your really nice paper, you know exactly where you're going to color. And then after you trace it onto the Bristol board, then you can come back here and do some color playing around and experiment with what colors you want to use. Up here, like I said, I'm going to put a tentacle in the shape of an O, and the end of that tentacle is going to hang onto a crab, because I think that's one thing that octopi or octopuses eat. Over here, I have some seaweed, because I believe turtles are vegetarians, and I'm going to do a couple of flippers right here to make the T. This may not be exactly what I would need right now, but you know, that's going to be the T. And again, look at my space. I have that 1/4 inch space and that 1/4 inch space right here that I worked inside of. This O goes in front of the border. Totally fine. You don't have to do that. The T up here does not interact with the border at all. So I'm going to put it into time-lapse video and do some more work on here, and maybe you'll see how it starts to go. And eventually this needs to be nice and dark. Okay, so that's how I kind of develop my idea. Now, I have a lot of stuff going on here. You don't have to have this much intricacy in the drawing. Okay, it can be a little bit more simple. You'll see again a few of the samples. And again, I always put a dialogue or a little caption by a lot of the samples in the slideshow. So make sure to read those. I want to make sure you really get what we're going for here. I will want a picture of your pre-sketch as well. Okay, just so you know, we're going to try to document the different stages. All right, we're going to shoot it into time-lapse, and you'll see how that goes. All right, now that I'm done with my pre-sketch, I have darkened all the lines pretty dark. There are a few lines here and there I may have to darken. I have to kind of go over it one more time. But make sure it's really what you want, because this is exactly what you're going to put on your final. Then all you're going to do is take one of your pieces of Bristol board that you should have received in your packet. And I'm just going to take a little piece of tape, tear it in half, just put a little bit on 2 corners. And again, I only do 2 corners. So as you're tracing really lightly up against the window, you can flip your paper up and see what you're doing underneath here. And again, as a reminder, I have a lot of stuff going on here. I don't really have a deadline like you guys do, so you don't have to pack it in quite as much as I did. I'm going to try to let some of these little wavy water smears kind of go in front of and behind the octopus and the turtle. I have little fish in the background, little coral in the background, like I said, and we're going to go for it. And I am going to put on the coloring that I start doing on a separate video, so this one doesn't get too horribly long. And I'll do a lot of quick time lapse on that. So we'll talk about that in the next video, how to think about the color. All right, have fun with it, and I'll see you soon.